Yo, what's good everyone? It's Batarun. Today we are going to talk about a company that I'm sure all of you guys are familiar with. It's an American integrated media and entertainment company, and primarily known for its professional wrestling. World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE. It was first known as WWF in 1963, which stood for Worldwide Wrestling Federation. From 1979 till 2002, the wrestling franchise was known as WWF. The organization later changed its name from WWF, which is World Wrestling Federation, to WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, according to a lawsuit by the World Wildlife Fund, which also goes by the acronym WWF. The main difference between WWF and WWE is simply just the name, really. But some people may argue that WWE is a more PG version of wrestling compared to WWF, because WWE is a little bit more strict with the rules compared to WWF, which had like Stone Cold Steve Austin fans just... As in other professional wrestling promotions, WWE are not legitimate contests, but purely entertainment based, featuring storyline driven, scripted and choreographed matches. Though matches often include moves that can put performers at risk of injury or possibly even death if not performed correctly. The first WrestleMania was in March 31st, 1985, and featured Mr. T and Cyndi Lauper at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Hulk Hogan and Mr. T defeated Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper in the main event, and Cyndi Lauper was a ringside manager for a female wrestler named Wendy Richter. The WWE Universal Championship is a World Heavyweight Championship that is created and promoted by the American professional promotion WWE, defended by their SmackDown wrestling brand. It is one of the 3 world titles in WWE, alongside the WWE Championship on Raw and the NXT Championship on NXT. The most attended WrestleMania event was WrestleMania 3 in Pontiac, Michigan on March 29, 1987. The attendance was reported to be 93,173 people. Jeez. There are currently 18 championships in WWE. Among the 5 current brands, 23 wrestlers hold the championships as of Feb 28, 2020. Professional wrestling in the United States until the 1920s was viewed as a legitimate sport. This view did not endure in the 1930s, as professional wrestling became identified with modern theatrics or admitted fakeness, also known as kayfabe, and this moved it away from being a showcase for true competition. The men and women in the ring are indeed hitting each other, just not with full strength. The blows are glancing but not concussive. The violence is restrained but non-existent. Working too stiffly can lead to injury or else a bout that is over in a matter of seconds. While a WWE wrestler would never intentionally hurt his opponent, accidents do happen. Even when they don't physically get injured, the sport is still very physically demanding, and the constant repetition and travel just take a physical toll on the wrestlers. WWE matches aren't exactly scripted, but they are predetermined. That's the more correct concept when thinking about it. Promos, however, which is the act of a performer speaking, is highly scripted, but there is no teleprompter or cue card person, so the talking points are just memorized before the wrestler goes down the ramp. So there is a little improvisation there, so long as the main talking points are covered and on brand. That's all that matters. Wrestling rings are generally composed of an elevated steel beam and wood plank stage topped by foam padding and a canvas cover. Most wrestling rings typically have more padding and shock absorbing construction than boxing rings. Unlike major sports like basketball, baseball, hockey, football, WWE does not take a break. The sports entertainment organization operates at 52 weeks per year. There's no off season. Between 1991 and 2013, The Undertaker won a total of 21 back-to-back WrestleMania matches before finally losing to Brock Lesnar in a match at WrestleMania 33. The legendary WWE wrestler was a basketball player, and he played it for 2 years in Texas, and then he was transferred to Texas Wesleyan University. Then he came to know about professional wrestling and became one of the biggest wrestlers WWE has ever seen. Stone Cold Steve Austin is one of the very few original traditional heels of WWE during the Attitude Era. The Texas Rattlesnake is one of the most successful wrestlers and is the only wrestler to win 3 Royal Rumbles. One in 1997, one in 1998, and one in 2001. The name Stone Cold was inspired by a cup of tea and some stroke of luck from his wife at the time, Jeannie. Basically, she made him some tea one day and told him to drink it before it gets stone cold. She then paused and then excitedly said, "That's your new name, Stone Cold Steve Austin." Rey Mysterio holds a record for the longest time spent in the ring during a Royal Rumble. During the 2006 Royal Rumble, Rey Mysterio entered in the number 2 spot, stayed in the ring for a record of 1 hour and 2 minutes and 12 seconds. As of 2017, John Cena has 16 WWE World Championship victories, and Ric Flair is the only other wrestler to accomplish this. Another big name in WWE is actually Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson has technically been a member of D-Generation X in 1998. Mike Tyson was actually introduced as a special enforcer in a WWF Championship match featuring Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels. Later on in 2010, Mike Tyson actually appeared in a tag team match against DX with his partner Chris Jericho, but he then turned against Chris Jericho and aligned himself with Triple H and HBK. But forget Mike Tyson, there's still another bigger person than him who is associated with WWE. Someone who calls the coronavirus the Chinese virus. And someone who invited Taliban to Camp David. Yep, it's none other than President Donald Trump himself, who is somehow a member of the WWE Hall of Fame. And one other fun fact before I go. If you've seen the Flintstones or lived in a time where the Flintstones cartoon was on TV, then the Flintstones basically did a crossover movie with WWE and it was called the Flintstones and WWE Stone Age SmackDown. Not gonna lie, yeah, I was kinda into WWE when I was a little kid. I used to watch it and all that, but when I found out it's fake, I just had less of an interest of it, to be honest. So, but I don't know. I still think there's iconic finishers out there. There's iconic wrestlers like Undertaker, John Cena, Rey Mysterio. Let me know what you guys think about WWE. Just comment down below. And in case you're interested, you can catch WrestleMania 2020 live at Raymond James Stadium, Tampa, Florida, US. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, yeah?